What's up, Cade Sipes? We are on day 4, I believe, of the 64 Nova. Ran into an issue with the rear pods that I built, which sucks because they were so good. But that back window is a straight up optical illusion. I had to rebuild these rear pods, not once, not twice, not 3, not 4, 5 times. 5 times. Now, I didn't glass them 5 times. I framed them up, did the stanchions, put them in there, and every time they would not fit. The speakers can have no pitch. The depth of the speakers is 2 inches, so if you do a pitch, obviously down here at the bottom, now your speaker's gonna touch. So to do a pitch, you have to pitch like 2.5 inches, so that down here you still have your 2-inch gap. Makes sense? It's just angles. I hate angles. Never took geometry. I just make shit up as I go. Any kind of pitch, touch the glass. So I had to make them flat, which is fine because the glass is so angled apparently, the sound will bounce off of it. Now you understand I'm doing all of this because I have a really hard time cutting holes in a very nice old car. Most people just cut a hole in the rear deck, both sides, drop in the speakers, bada bing, bada boom. I don't do that here, man. I don't want to be the one that molests a car that hasn't been cut up. I'll show you where I'm at right now with it and what we're getting ready to do. The rear deck is going to be a 3-piece system. This is the centerpiece. So this goes in the middle. The main reason is also to alleviate any pressure in the trunk. I don't want this guy's trunk to rattle or buzz. He doesn't want that. I don't want that. And with me firing the sub backwards, we have a potential for that to happen. So that's what this is for. So this will allow base in, which isn't going to be a big problem. It's cloth seats, but also to just alleviate and add a little bit of, rather than a flat rear deck, you got that. Now, I could just glue it in there, and maybe I will. I haven't made the decision yet, but this could be like a magnetic click, click, and then that's the centerpiece so that the air can come through. So over here's the new pods. As you can see, the speakers are just firing straight up. This is the left side, and this one over here is the right side. Right now, I'm roughing it up. So what happens is this mounts right up into there. And then on the rear deck, you'll have that on both sides. But I get some installers that ask me, they're like, hey, could you go in more in depth with that? Could you explain this and that? So what I am going to end up doing is I am going to create a members page on this channel. And that's going to be for installers that care about that, because I have so much footage. Each one of these videos is actually over an hour long, and I cut it down to 10 minutes. I have so much footage that's me, how I do this stuff and what I'm doing, but most people don't care about that, and they're just going to zip through it. But like installers and stuff would, and then that way I can at least make this maybe make some money for me, so it's worth me to edit out that secondary video. So I got to look into that, but I think it's like $5 a month or something. But then I'm also going to start doing like live streams, and only members will be able to come to the live streams, where as I'm doing a build, I'll literally have this going for like 2-3 hours, just answering questions, and you can watch me dance around and be a fool. But I need to see what the rules are and things like that for like music on YouTube. Because if I'm not putting it up as a video to be monetized, if it's like a stream, can I have copyright music playing? Because for me to just be here in like silence all the time really suck. Moving on to what else is going on in this car. The kick panels came in. So these are the kicks. They're going to hold the 4x6 speakers that are going to go right there. I haven't checked to make sure that I'm good with the grill. I am a little nervous because of how little material there is right there. We have here is the radio. Now this is the most expensive one that you could get for this car, I believe. It's got the slide bar. So what it is, I don't know if it's cool or not. I've never seen one. It's got the old school, right? But then you can like do the slider and that goes away. And then you have a digital screen. I should probably go ahead and get to work now, because that was a whole lot of stuff I said I'm gonna do. And I wanna have this done tomorrow. It's noon. My goal was to have the rear deck done by noon, and it's pretty well done. I'll go ahead and show it to you. The magnets are going to work awesome. So I'm going to epoxy the magnets to the bottom, but I've got them taped to the bottom of the pieces right now. They click right in. They're holding solid. It's actually really nice. I'm gonna order a bunch more of those magnets. So there's the deck. It's the 3 pieces. Now, obviously, it doesn't look like this because the back seat, the cushion goes up pretty decently. So the cushion goes up to where almost to the top edge of the speaker. So you don't see it like this. And that piece I painted green. I went ahead and kept the honeycomb. I'll go ahead and just show it to you. And I painted it green, and now I just hit it with a clear, glossy clear. That doesn't look bad in there, but I almost think it's too much green. So, of course, I'm gonna keep doing stuff. I think I'm gonna laser this outside edge out in 1/8 inch black acrylic, marry that to the top, so then this is all trimmed out in black, shiny black, and then you'll have the green honeycomb, and then that will magnetically click right there over the center hole. Now I'm gonna move on to the kick panels. Need to open these things up and see if we're gonna run into an issue with the speakers mounting or the grills I ordered looking right, and then we'll go figure out how they come out in the car. We'll make sure these are gonna fit. Sometimes they don't fit right and you have to trim them, or if the carpet's been changed, you run into issues. So with the kick panels, the 4x6s, I got them to fit. They definitely are not a perfect fit, as you can see, but this is the side that'll be facing you, so I'd rather it be straight here. Yeah, I really wish they would have made those a different shape. The factory kick panels, I did not realize, are upholstered, which is really strange because this does not match anything in the car. Everything in the car is gold, tan, and black, and this is gray. So I'm not really sure why, other than they must have did like an upholstery switchover and they just didn't do the kicks. All right, so you're cracking open the radio here. I just got the wiring laid out for the car, the power, the ground, speaker wire, just kind of everything laid out, how it's gonna go. The kick panels are in. Figure I need to go ahead and get a look-see at this because I need to get my RCAs ready, and I don't know if this has stereo sub out or mono sub out. I don't want to get a whole 6-channel RCA drop, ran back, or ready to go and find out that, you know, I need a mono signal, not a stereo. So I was going to open this up. But right off the bat, here's one of the reasons why I do not like these radios. This radio I think was $500. So I paid $500 for this. Now, if you transfer that over to a new radio for $500, you can get a pretty nice radio with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all the cool features. Here it is bagged. When I opened up the box, these are just loosely floating around. They're not bagged. Looks like they might have supposed to have been in this bag, I guess, but they weren't in there. These, plastic. That is one of the reasons I don't like these. That I saved just for this specific reason. And if they're the same, then I will swap. See, that was a cheap plastic one that just fell. This is out of a 63 Malibu, I believe. Anyway, this is what it should sound like. Okay, so, and then, so you're paying all that money for a Chinese radio that's dressed up in whatever fascia that they need for your car, and then a bunch of plastic knobs. You gave me all metal knobs, everything was like really a factory replica, it would justify the price. I would be like, oh well, yeah, I mean, look at this stuff, you know, this ain't cheap. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this opened up and see what it looks like. Right off the bat, plastic. Everything's plastic. Now when I pull out the factory one, that's going to be metal. It's all metal. This is just chrome plastic, and that's just really cheap stamped steel. So I mean, I understand it takes, you know, R&D and stuff, but still, it's, I don't know. Hopefully it looks good in there. Now, this slider situation, let's see. So this is supposed to, oh, okay. So that's what it does. So you slide this over. You're like, oh no, look. Now, does this actually move the needle, or is that just like a picture? And the needle does not move. Okay, so basically that's just a picture. Now, how well, this thing doesn't want to set up. How long this is gonna last, I don't know, because I ain't gonna lie. That is, I mean, if you got violent with this, like slammed it over a lot, I have a feeling that might break. So no, we have mono sub out right there. That green one is the mono sub. So we've got aux in, front, rear, and subwoofer out, mic in, USB port. All right, well, let's go figure out how the factory radio comes out. So we've got the factory radio out. It was kind of sketched there for a second because this trim plate actually comes off after the radio's out, but it was stuck because it's been there for so long, and it'd be real easy to bend this because it's metal. But there is the new radio installed. Everything seems to fit. Actually doesn't look too bad. Knobs are a little long. I don't know if that's normal, but everything works as far as like looks wise. So now, since I've test fitted it, made sure everything's gonna mount up the way it should, now I can go check the wiring. We'll see if there's an ignition up there. Hopefully there is an ignition. And we have to run the antenna because the factory radio did not have the antenna hooked up. So the antenna wire I found shoved in the kick panel. I'm really hoping to have this done tomorrow, and I could, but it'd require me to stay for probably another 3 hours tonight. And it's like 7 o'clock right now, and I ran out of steam. So I don't know if I'll have it done tomorrow. It'd be really close. But I may stay for another couple hours tonight, but not so much installing, lasering out the rest of the stuff I wanted to do for the cool stuff, because that stuff's fun to me. But this is getting just a little, but we'll go ahead and identify the wiring, make sure all that's done. I think I'm going to pre-wire the amp in the rack, and then install the rack in the car with the amp already wired up, and then run the lines out from, rather than run the lines up to the rack, because then I have to do the wiring in the car, and it's going to be very hard to get to. And I don't feel like creating a whole plug system, so I'll probably just go ahead and do that. So I may pull that out and get that started tonight, but we'll see. I'm in the middle of shutting down the shop, and I realized I didn't say that I was done. I've got the box out there on the table. I'm going to go ahead and wire up the amp and make it like an umbilical cord, wire everything up, and then put it in the car. It's going to be kind of a bitch because it'll make it really heavy, and I'll have to be very careful doing it. But the new rack cover I just laser cut, I screwed up. I put the painted side down. That was really dumb. I should have put painted side up and then flipped my image and lasered it. So when it lasered it out, the heat made the grids transfer into the paint and messed it all up. So it's trashed. So I have it in the other room. I tried to fix it. It didn't work, so it's drying. Tomorrow, I will just sand it. I'm going to sand it with 80 grit all the way down, and I'll either reshoot it or figure out what I'm going to do, but it's too cool to get rid of, so I will make it work, but that'll be tomorrow. Everything else is about the same. Nothing else really to show you. I've just been getting things ready, so tomorrow will be another fun-filled day. Later. What's up? It's day 5 on the Nova, and gonna get started on fixing my screw up from yesterday. The amp cover. Now we're gonna do the sanding trick. So we're gonna sand all this off and then we'll repaint it. Now this is actually something that I used to do all the time. I was just trying to save myself a step. The trick with acrylic, if you want it to look really, really, really deep when you paint it, if you sand it down with like 40 grit or 80 grit and aggressively sand it, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm destroying it. No. You're actually creating these huge like cuts and divots, and you're grinding into the acrylic, right? When you shoot with the paint will seep down into where you've did all those cuts and grinds, and it actually makes it look way, way deeper on the clear side. I've done it for years. It always looks better, and it makes the paint stick. It's a little more grippy, but I was trying to save myself time, but here I am doing that. So let's go ahead and get this sanded down so we can get it sprayed, so it can be drying while we're working on the rest of the stuff on the car. And there we have it all sanded down. And you just want to make sure all the green or all the color is off, which it is. The edges here are going to be green, but that's fine. It's not like that's going to cause any issues. But it's really rough now, really rough. And I'll need to clean this off. Obviously take all this tape off because it's holding all this debris now. Take that off, retape the other side so it stays nice and clean, and get this done. I need to get my film. I used to have this big film tape that was made for putting over like cars and things like that. I don't know what happened to that stuff, but when I saw it the other day, I was looking at it. It's super expensive now. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, and I figured this would be a good time to show you another little trick before I clean this all off. If you want to have like the cool edge look glowing, and you want the edges to kind of hold the color and not let the light escape, it just adds a little bit to it. Do like what I just did. You'll paint the whole thing, paint all the edges, get it all done. Then you'll sand it down like I did, but you see the edges are still green. So if I were to flip it over, how it creates that kind of green effect all the way around already. Now, if you leave that, so you don't want to use like a cleaner because the cleaner is going to take it off, use soap and water to wash off the backside. If you embed LEDs on one side, you'll take a lighter, torch that, or torch, flame, whatever you want to do. You just need to heat that up. That'll crystallize that and make that one edge clear. Where you do it on the bottom, you do it here, do it in the corner, doesn't matter. It will shine through and everything in here will light up and it'll be kind of frosted, but these green edges will actually kind of glow too, and it'll create this like green border. It's kind of a cool effect. It's just adds to the, I don't know what you want to say, just it holds the light and the light will bounce off the edged color and it'll kind of create a green light without having to have a green LED. So if you only have a white LED and you want to light this up, this would light up green because of that green edging. It's going to reflect inside. So I need to make a little bit of a spacer for the 10-inch sub because I did not realize it doesn't sit completely into this box, and I don't want to router or do anything to it because I've already carpeted it, and that will just always make the sawdust. It's just not something I want to deal with. It'll mess up the black carpet and look like crap. MTX, this is your first no-no. So going off their specs, 9 1/8. You see that opening? 9 1/8. So I'm using a laser. 1/8 is 0.125, so 9.125 is what that center is. And I have it cut and it does not fit. I hate it when specs are wrong from companies. It really infuriates me because then it makes me lose trust in every other spec, including these subs, the like enclosure specs. So I got to recut my circle, make it a little bit bigger so it'll actually fit. I will be bringing this to MTX's attention because they'll never know unless you tell them. And I want to continue to use their products. If this sounds as good as I hope it does and they perform the way I want, then I'm going to start using MTX in a lot more installs in the coming future, but I need things like that to not happen. Well, wouldn't you know, I just happened to look over and on the box, 9 3/16. So the box has a different measurements than the inside instructions. So with my little basic spacer recut, just line the inside of this with some poly. Might help, might not. I just feel like it does soften up the sound a little bit, and this guy's not looking for the high school sound, so I believe that's a nice little feature. And it looks like that poly stuff got everywhere, so I gotta sweep this out. So I realized I forgot to film anything before I was putting this in. So I'm working on putting this in now, obviously. All the lines are already hooked up, and there's like a whole umbilical cord running up here through the car. So I need to put this in before I can do the radio because I got to run the lines up to the radio. If I were to do it this way and come back, I would have to lean into this trunk and do all the wiring. And this trunk is actually very long. And I'm finding his weather stripping is not, it's just pinched in. And I just keep knocking it down. So I'm going to have to redo this. But I also saw over here, there's like an excessive amount of glue. And I believe that's because over here, there's none. It's not even like mounted down. So this weather stripping's kind of got me stressed, and I just don't want to mess it up. So instead of leaning in here for an hour trying to wire all this up and killing myself, I made it so that this is all wired and done, and it'll all be ran through. Now the grill I had on here, I just had to remove because it wasn't letting me get it in there the way I needed. So I pulled it out and then I realized I wasn't recording anything. So now I'm going to get this back up in there. This is the rear speakers obviously. And then this is the little access I made so I can get down to the settings for the amps in case I need to. So I now understand why the kick panels were carpeted gray, because this used to be gray carpet. Can't run the wire in this channel because you would have to do this whole crossover over the metal there. There's no way the trim would set back down. So I had to run along the carpet and pull it up. And this is where me and upholsterers do not get along. I don't understand why upholsterers have this crazy fetish that they feel like they need to glue the carpet down, it drives me insane because it's so permanent. It's just dumb. But if you ever work on a car like this, I don't know why it is, old school car builders, dude, they just shoot glue, stick the carpet down, and then they do little patchwork like this little cut here and shit. You'll find it all the time. And honestly, it's because they're hiding mistakes, but the glue is just, it's bullshit. You're basically saying no one's ever gonna need access to anything here. No one's ever gonna wanna run anything, and it's just a dumb thing to do. So I'm gonna run this. Now I've got to figure out how I'm trying to go up the kick here. Because going up there, you see they've glued it all. And if I pull it, it's just gonna destroy it. So I gotta come up here. The issue is that transition right there is gonna screw up my new kick panels. So I need to get that as flat as possible. Probably gonna use Gorilla Tape just to hold it there. And then I'll probably have to heat up my new kick panel just to give it a little hump there. And then we're gonna come up and go across to the radio. This kick panel was a real hoot. Had to do some trimming, and I don't like on the camera, that looks really bad. But like I can barely see it in here, but the camera's brightening it all up. I had to notch that out for the wires because there's no room. I can't go up at all with the wiring there. So this looks kind of icky. So I'm going to take it back out, round that, and then we'll go ahead and put a gasket trim there. Got the RCAs and all that. I still need to run that wire over to that kick panel. And then we'll install the speakers and all. But tomorrow, hopefully, go ahead and just kind of get this thing completely buttoned up, get it fired up and playing. I'll see you tomorrow.